We are live. Welcome, everybody. This is my webinar on crushing the weight. So gather on. I'm going to give you a few seconds. If you're watching the recording, you can skip ahead a minute. I'm just going to give some time for people to gather on and tune in. So I'm going to be telling you about what it takes to actually keep the weight off, or at least how to get to your goal. I'm going to be sharing some insights about the keto diet. So if you are confused about the difference between low carb, keto, LCHF, banting, I can tell you now, you don't have to wait. They're all the same thing, okay? And so I'm going to be talking about like the low carb world and some of the science that comes from those studies. But then we're going to be talking about how to actually make it stick. So, why people fall off the bus. We're going to talk about how to stay on the bus. And at the end, I'm going to explain how you can take advantage of an epic deal with Real Meal Revolution. So I hope you settled in. This is my little deck I'm going to show you, and what I'm going to do is walk you through some of the coolest stuff that Real Meal Revolution does. So like I said just now, you're going to learn about what you can have. So what the real benefits of the keto diet are, or the low carb diet, or the real food diet, and Real Meal Revolution, or whatever you want to call it. Like, what are the actual benefits beyond weight loss, and how much weight can you actually lose? Then we're going to talk about like what it takes to actually get it done, and I'll explain why it's a big problem and how big the problem is. Like, how many people actually don't succeed at weight loss transformations. And at the end, I'm going to walk you through a massive deal. So first, I want to introduce you to Jane. Now, Jane VAUSE is currently still a client with Real Meal Revolution. She joined us a year and a half ago. And in this picture, she's lost 45 kilograms. She's actually gone on to lose more, and she stayed a Real Meal Revolution customer, and she's doing a few of our other programs because she actually just loves it. But she reduced her BMI from 42, which is morbidly obese, to overweight. Reduced her waist circumference by 35 centimeters, which is massive. Dropped 4 dress sizes, blood sugars normalized, triglycerides normalized. So she is completely transformed. And if you see her, there are some videos around of me interviewing her. You'll see how happy she is and how much her life has transformed because she's been able to take control of her health. And how she did that was from eating real foods. Okay, there are lots of pictures going around saying that banting is, all meat and all fat, but these are real foods that she was eating. She was eating normal, a large variety of color, flavor, and texture. And we call these the 3 pleasures, because we don't want people to sit and like just eat meat. We want you to go on a culinary journey. I'm a chef. Most weight loss gurus are like doctors or dietitians. I landed in this industry by mistake. I thought I was preparing a high performance athletics cookbook, and ended up helping people reverse diabetes and losing a ton of weight. But my goal was always to make it incredibly delicious. That was the goal. I wanted to make this high performance diet super cool. And what I ended up doing was making this weight loss diet super delicious. So you eat these foods, go on this journey, this culinary journey or gastronomic journey, and have weight loss become the side effect. And you can't point at any of these meals and say like, oh no, that's terrible, look at all that fat, or there's no fiber, or anything like that. These are proper foods. They're delicious, and they're visually appealing. And that's what we want your life to be like. We don't want you to be sitting there going, oh no, I can't bear the thought of another XYZ. Okay. So just to illustrate the science, there are plenty studies. There are over 200 clinical trials that show that the low carb diet outperforms other diets for weight loss. There are no trials on any other diets that show diabetes remission. The only diet that can reverse diabetes is like a super low calorie diet, so like 600 calories a day, which sounds torturous, and the ketogenic diet, and then ketogenic diet in conjunction with intermittent fasting. So this is a study that was done in Canada, and the reason I'm using it is because it's quite similar to a program we run. They put people into groups, they prescribed them with the keto diet, they followed up with them, they had peer support, and then they also tweaked the diet as it went along. And so in a lot of dietary paradigms, the emphasis is on like sticking to the rules, watching the points. And the way we look at it is we'd rather empower you. So you kind of learn how your own body works, and we call that you are your own study of one. So the reason this model is unique is because the prescription changed throughout the course of the trial, which is what we encourage. You know, there's always controversy around dairy, like should I eat dairy, shouldn't I? Well, if dairy doesn't work for you, then no, you shouldn't eat it. And the results of this study were insane. Please don't squint your eyes. I'm going to give you the summary, but I'm just putting the screenshot there so you know that I'm actually taking the data from the study. So the first thing that you should know is after 3 months, the average weight loss was 12.8 kilos. 12.8 kilos average after 3 months. Then the average BMI reduction was 4.7. So just so you know, it goes up in fives. So you're like normal weight from 20 to 25. You are overweight from 25 to 30, and then you're obese from 30 to 35, and then I think morbidly obese, and then it gets worse, and then obviously underweight. So 4.7 is a reduction almost in a whole class of obesity in 3 months. Doctor will love that. Okay, people who were classified as having elevated abdominal circumference. So elevated abdominal circumference is actually more closely correlated with disease risk than BMI. They use that. It's a more accurate predictor. And so 24% of the people who were diagnosed with elevated abdominal circumference after the 3 months, they no longer had that, which means that crossed back under the threshold. 38% of the people who were diagnosed with metabolic syndrome at the beginning of the trial had reversed metabolic syndrome. So they had they'd gone down from 3 of the ailments that you have to be diagnosed with to less than 3, which means you no longer have the full cluster. Now, this really interested me. And a lot of keto like obsessors will say, no, the keto diet like reversed my depression. And I don't think so. But the PHQ-9 score it's a self-assessment score for depression. So you fill in the questionnaire and it says, yes, you're very depressed or whatever. And it goes from 1 to 27. And anything above 10 is moderately depressed. So that means like you can be medicated. And then under 10 is mildly depressed. Under 5 is like, a bit bleak, stubbed your toe or whatever. So what this shows is that of the people who said that, yes, they were moderately or more depressed, almost 16% after the 3-month trial had gone back into like a non or an unmedicated bill kind of range. And I don't think that's to do with keto. I think it comes from people putting effort into themselves, acting in alignment with their values, perhaps connecting with people over a similar topic, in the group support model. But it's just interesting that when people take care of themselves and connect with people, they were able to reverse the depression. Then people reversed their blood pressure. The average blood pressure was 136/85. And after 3 months, it came down to 122/77. So it went from like, you're almost dead to, oh my goodness, like you don't need any meds anymore. You're basically superhuman. HDL went up, which is what you want. LDL went down, which is what you want. Triglycerides went down, which is what you want. And finally, the HbA1c, which is like that is the main metric for type 2 diabetes. It went from like full-on diabetes to like almost pre-diabetic. And we know from administering this eating lifestyle ourselves that many people reverse diabetes. So this means that on average, people reduced by a whole percent, more than 1%, 1.5%, no, 0.5%. And but some of those people would have reversed diabetes and others would have stayed the same. That's just in 3 months. So now, having heard those statistics, what I'm interested in hearing, and maybe you can just leave a comment, is what would you do if you could get those results? Where would you go in 6 months' time? What would you plan if you knew you would have results like that? Who would you spend it with? What would your work look like? What would family be like for you? What would your health feel like? What would you do with all that energy, reduction in medication? And just leave it in the comments. I'll read them later. I'm not going to respond now, but I want to know, what would you actually do if those are the kind of results that you could create? And I want you to just think about those throughout the rest of this talk, because the theory I'm going to give you is theory that you can actually implement and execute to allow you to actually achieve those results. Okay, so we've done what you can have. You've already seen what the science can do. The eating real food off the green list, not like taking chemicals and being like a crazy extreme dieter, just like cutting out crap and eating real food can reverse diabetes, reverse metabolic syndrome. If you're doing it with people, perhaps it could make you happier, but it can improve your life a lot. 13 kilos is a lot of weight to lose, and that'll make a big difference in your life. But I want to talk about something like a hell of a lot more important. And over the years, I have actually seen tons and tons of people lose weight and put it on, and lose weight and put it on. And so I was very interested, and I did some research to try to figure out like what it is that happens. And the science is terrible. So there's a study I found that says 2% of the people who embark on weight loss transformations end up hitting goal and keeping the weight off for more than 2 years. 2% of people who embark on weight loss transformations end up hitting goal and keeping it off for 2 years. So that means if there were 10 million people on the 1st of January who decided this year they were going to lose weight, now I'm going to confuse myself with my maths, 200,000 people would end up getting to goal weight and keeping it for the rest of their lives, which is horrific. That is a terrible, terrible statistic. That means like 9.8 million people will still be paying the medications, still be hating the body, still feeling discomfort, everything. Okay. And so in the first half of my life, I thought that this is what you needed to transform. I thought you needed to focus on 20% nutrition, like eat okay, and then 80% exercise. And it's all about the exercise. I even remember saying like, I need to start running again. I'm getting a bit fat. And I know that like everyone I speak to who doesn't know what we teach at Real Meal says the same thing. They say, oh, I put on weight, I need to get back in the gym. And even Michelle Obama said that. She was like all anti-sugar, and then all of a sudden she didn't say anything bad about sugar anymore, and she said, no, you must go exercise, people need to stay active. So I wonder if like their campaign was funded by the sugar industry at all. And then when Real Meal came out, I know that a lot of people knew this already, but in general the trend in South Africa changed from being very exercise focused to lose weight to just people all of a sudden realizing, hey, like I don't need to exercise to lose weight, I can just lose weight. And we tell clients, like I've had clients who was very overweight that they couldn't really like get out of their chair or go downstairs, and they were doing exercises in their chair, like watching chair exercise workouts, and then still like not eating properly. And I was saying, you don't need to exercise in your chair ever. Like rather lose 40 kilograms first, and then if you feel like it, you can exercise. But exercise is only 20% of the issue. It's 80% nutrition. And then some more time passed, and I spent more time dealing with clients and like really trying to understand what is it that makes behavior change. Because in the beginning I was like, just set goals, and if you set goals it'll work, and if people set goals like I set goals, then they'll achieve. And what I realized was actually there's a hell of a lot more stuff going on, and it's not about like just being crystal clear with what you want. And so the new model as of 2019 is that it is still 80-20 in terms of nutrition and exercise, but it works out to 16% nutrition, 4% exercise, and then 80% of the transformation is actually other stuff. Okay, what we found is that a lot of us, when we act on impulse, our impulses are driven by things that are totally unrelated to diet. So sure, we eat the wrong thing, and people keep telling themselves, I need to stop eating the wrong thing. But it's the same thing like if someone says to you, I can't stop drinking or I can't stop smoking, the advice to give them is not, well, just smoke less or drink less. They can't. There's a whole lot of other stuff going on. So if we can't stick to the goals that we set, it's not because we can't stick to the goals that we set. It's because there's actually a whole lot of other stuff in our life that we need to move around and make work to allow space for this transformation to happen. And I'll give you an example. A lot of people will say an emotional eater. Or if you think about a friend of yours who got really overweight, one of the things that comes up in conversations with us is to say, wow, shame, put on a lot of weight, but she's going through a really tough time, you know? And so going through a really tough time is totally correlated with picking up weight. And that is because when we're going through a tough time and our life is difficult to manage, we soothe with our emotions, but we also look for pleasure. If life's so uncomfortable everywhere else, we actually look for pleasure, and food is a very easy way to get instant pleasure. So things stress us out, and we eat to soothe our feelings. We're very tired, and when you're tired, your decision-making capabilities drop. When you have relationships that aren't working, you're stressed or you're angry. And when you're angry, you sometimes take that out on yourself with food. What was the other one? Did I say financial stress? If I didn't, financial stress is another one. So there are all these elements of our life that fit into the other stuff that is totally unrelated to like eating the green list and exercising. So it is not that simple. It's incredibly complicated. And the thing is, that is why only 2% of the people who embark on these journeys actually end up losing the weight. Because the people who you meet who lose the weight and keep it off, most of the time when you meet them, or at least when I've met them, they will say to me, I'm a completely different person to the person I was when I started this journey. And they use those words. And other people will say, I can hardly recognize that person. I barely recognize them. And it's not just a physical thing that obviously they look different. It is actually like their entire identity has shifted. Because if your life is not generating, a slim physique, it means that the way you're spending your time, the way you're spending your money, the people you're spending your time with, the way you take care of yourself, or the way you think about yourself, or the way you feel about yourself, all of these things in the way they are assembled are not delivering the outcome of a slim or healthy weight. And so we need to look at that whole thing. We need to look at the whole picture to really create lasting change. Sure, if you don't want lasting change, go on keto for 12 weeks, hold your breath, lose the weight, and then go on your way. But if you want it to last, you need to look at all of this stuff, because the first thing that happens when people hit goal, they take their foot off the gas because they think, oh, I've made it, it was easy. And the next thing you know, they're back in the office at Real Meal saying, look, I put on a bit of extra weight. I need to just get back on it. And you don't want that. We should be a service that you do once and then never do again. Okay, so there are many elements to this, and as you join Real Meal, you'll learn more and more. And what I wanted to explain to start off with is around adult behavior change. So I was just laughing. I actually gave a bit of this talk earlier today in one of my workshops. But this dude, Charles Jennings, he was the CLO of Reuters, which is a news outlet. And he says to, I'm just laughing at Eve's comment. So he says they were spending millions of dollars sending people to sales training courses. And so what you would typically do is you go on a sales training course, you spend a week away at some like amazing resort, and you go for awesome training during the day and awesome dinners and drinks at night, and then awesome training during the day and awesome drinks and dinners at night. And at the end of the week, you've had all of your training, and you've been drunk out of your mind, and it's been the best time ever. And then you go back to work on Monday, and the company is waiting for your sales to increase, and like nothing changes. And obviously companies started getting super irritated about having to spend all this money and not get the results. And so Jennings, he did a whole lot of research on how adults learn best. So how do adults learn so that they create better results? And what he found was that the best format, to his surprise as well, was actually if we only spend 10% of our time learning new information, we spend 20% of the time collaborating with other people, chatting, talking it out, and 70% of the time actually practicing. And so the analogy I always draw is like, if you were going to have a hollandaise competition with Gordon Ramsay, what would you rather do? Would you rather watch videos and attend classes of how to cook hollandaise for 10 days? Or would you want to attend workshops and classes and videos for 1 day on how to cook hollandaise, chat to people about hollandaise for 2 days and collaborate and discuss how they do it, and then spend 7 days practicing? So I can guarantee you, if you did it the second route, you would absolutely smoke Gordon Ramsay at making hollandaise. And so that makes sense to me. Like, that's why this method works best. And so in the personal development space and in the weight loss space, one of the things I've experienced most is when we follow up with customers who've signed up or who are on a journey, usually like 3 or 4 weeks in, they haven't even started. And the reason they haven't started is because they're trying to learn all the information first. They're like information gathering. So watching all the videos on YouTube's, like falling asleep at night, watching, talks by Gary Torbs and Jason Fung and myself, Tim Noakes or whatever, because they feel like they're contributing to their transformation, are going to make their weight loss journey easier if they keep consuming this content. But according to the science, which is this, the best way to create behavior change and to get results is to actually do very little learning. Stick the lists on your fridge. You got the green list, you know what it looks like, and then practice and chat to people and practice and chat to people, practice and chat to people. And I know a lot of you watching this are probably thinking, God, I would never chat to anyone about my weight or this health crusade I'm on. So that's just something to consider as well. But that's the science. So we want you to do less learning. We want you to do more collaborating with peers, and we want you to do more practice. But goals are still important. I know I said goals, aren't the most important thing, but they are very important. And one of the things, the biggest mistakes we make with goals isn't that we don't make them smart, although they should definitely be smart: specific, measurable, achievable, reliable, realistic or relevant, whichever your R is. There are a few different R's. And then time bound. A dream without a deadline, a goal without a deadline is just a dream. So don't say, I want to be thinner this summer, or I want to be healthier. Think about like what healthy actually means. Hang your hat on that description. So healthy means good blood readings of 5.5 A1C and abdominal circumference of X and a BMI of this and a weight, whatever. Like that is what healthy means. So for me, health means half marathon with a day's notice. Like if I can run a half marathon with a day's notice, I'm where I want to be. And that is like totally measurable. It's time bound. It's relevant for me, etc. So like, what is your metric for health? But once you've got that, it's clear. You've got the image in your mind. Next is actually to keep motivated. And so there are a few different things that impact our motivation. And this slide is actually taken from a book called Good to Great, which is a business book, but it was a very academic business book written by a business scientist who has what he calls a business research laboratory in town. His name's Jim Collins, not in town, in Stanford. And what he says is that the organizations that do best are the ones who have an incredibly far-reaching vision. So they have like a 10 or a 15-year vision, because that acts as the true north and kind of guides the decisions and the mini goals that you set all the way along the way. And then they've got 3 to 5 year goals, and they've got 1 year goals and quarterly goals. But what these companies also had is values. And so they had a combination of values and a far-reaching goal. And so they didn't actually have to think much about what it was that they were going to do next, because they had this guiding light, like their North Star, and then values, like, is this in alignment with our values? Which business decision is in alignment with our values? And is it going to get us closer to our BHAG, which means big, hairy, audacious goal? And so in life coaching, we use the same technique because it makes sense. Organizations are just really well coordinated groups of people. And so an organization is actually people. And so when an organization performs well, what they're actually saying is how people perform best. And so people perform best when they have a long-term vision, where they have a set of values that they can compare what they're doing with, and then when they set quarterly goals that are related to yearly goals, that are related to 5-year goals. So the fact that you have a smart goal for the short term, like lose 20 kilos, get back to pre-baby weight, whatever it is, that's cool, that's important. But if it's not aligned with a long-term future or vision that you have for your life, you're going to find it difficult to motivate yourself. And so I'll give an example. If you want to feel beautiful in a dress again, that's great, okay? But when you are sitting there and you're at the buffet and there's some freshly baked bread with like farm jams and butter, or like a cupcake, whatever your poison is staring you in the face, and you just want to feel thin in a dress again, I can assure you that vanity is not enough to force us into discomfort. I was very relieved to discover that we don't love ourselves enough. We don't love our image enough to actually use that as pure motivation. But what we do love is the people in our lives. We love our careers, we love our happiness, we love our relationships, and what was the other one? Sometimes we love our pets, we love our grandchildren. And so when we align our weight loss transformation with those things, with the bigger things in our lives, like our families, all of a sudden we're able to stay so much more motivated. So you still want to be skinny and fit into the dress, that's fine. But when you acknowledge and remember that fitting into the dress is just a metaphor for also being thin and energetic enough to roll on the floor with your grandchildren, to be better looking, attractive, sexy, etc. for your spouse. Like, I really want to be like a ripped middle-aged man so that my wife has some eye candy, and also just want to have the energy and the confidence to be the best that I can be for my staff, for my company, for my wife. If you combine all of those together, then you see how actually it's so much bigger than just looking good. And so that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, if you're able to make the goal bigger than just you and your looks, you're likely to be more motivated, because being a better parent and aligning this goal with being a better parent is going to keep you much more motivated than just looking better. So you need a long-term goal, and you need to find a way to align this goal with the vision that you have for your life, and align it with your values, or the things that mean the most to you in your life. So it's not just setting smart goals. And then the last thing is accountability. So there are obviously many things. Like, I obviously say to many people, like, you got to go for therapy. I said that to myself, like, dude, you need therapy badly. So therapy helps everybody. We need to heal our relationship with stuff that causes us harm. And but this is, when it comes to accountability, this is actually the thing that's going to keep you going. And so this is actually 5 slides from another talk that I did on my swim from Mozambique to Madagascar. And so this is like a summary. But when I swam from Mozambique to Madagascar, I broke this world record. There it is. I swam from there to there, and it was 460 kilometers, did it in 24 days. We averaged like 19 kilometers a day, which is swimming almost a half marathon of running every single day, distance-wise. And what I had done was I told everyone what I was up to. So I told everyone, I was like, hey guys, I'm doing this swim. Can't you connect me with so-and-so? I told all my friends, my family, my colleagues, clients. I told everyone what I was up to. And then I asked loads of people for help. So the reason Real Meal Revolution exists is actually because we needed to raise money for charity. And I asked Tim Noakes if he would write the foreword to a cookbook that I was writing on the food I was going to eat while I was doing the swim. And that turned into Real Meal Revolution. He was like quite excited. So he wrote a lot more than a foreword and ended up becoming an author. But like that, so I asked him for help. I asked David Greer for help because he had kayaked this channel before. We had this photographer dude take all these photos. This is my swimming coach. He coached us for free because he wanted our swim on his CV as credentials. And this is Mandy Russell. She's an amazing performance coach. She coached myself and Thane when we were like having beef. Then I had a partner in crime. So I had Thane. Thane was my swimming buddy. I wasn't alone on the journey. We had each other. We could bounce all these things off each other. And that really made a difference. So when he didn't feel like training, I dragged his ass into the pool. When I didn't feel like training, he dragged me into the pool. And so we had this like not quitting on each other mindset. We did have a crystal clear goal. We knew exactly where we were starting and exactly where we were going. And finally, we had this like cause bigger than us. So I was telling you earlier in the previous slide, like you have to have something to play for that's bigger than you to keep you motivated at the end of the day. And for us, we originally weren't swimming for charity. We were just swimming for fun, for our egos. And we got taken on by Miles for Smiles, which is this CIPLA initiative. And they raise funds and awareness for Operation Smile, which donates, which gives free surgeries or corrective surgeries to children born with clefts. Super amazing charity. And so we had this charity to swim for. Now, if you put all of these things together, everyone I know was invested in this. I had all these people giving me help. You know, Tim Noakes, David Greer, my coach, all these people. I had my partner in crime who was with me. We had this goal that everyone was invested in, and we had a charity that we were raising money for. You can imagine when it came to that like cupcake moment, and in the swim's context, the cupcake moment was like, I really don't feel like swimming, or I really don't feel like training. I didn't have a choice because I thought about all the people who I had told about this journey. And basically it was like, you get in the swim, otherwise, you know, you're just going to be letting all these people down, and these people will be so excited if you succeed. And so there was this driving force created. We created a driving force, and we created the motivation to stick to the goal by enrolling everyone in the goal. Now, right now, you might just think like, how many people have you told about your journey? Do you have some coaches? Are there people invested in your success? Are you talking to your family and your friends and your colleagues about this journey? Do you have someone on your team? Is there like an accountability partner, like a partner in crime with you? And have you got a crystal clear goal? Like, I want to be this weight by this time, so that I can do these things. I want to go kayaking, etc., etc. And is there a way that you have framed it to be bigger than you? So have you thought about how this benefits the other people in your life? You know, how will it benefit the other people in your life? Will it change the way that you show up for them? Will they have a better mother or a better father? Or will will your friends have a better friend? Will your staff have a better boss? You know, what will the impact be on the people in your life? And have you thought about that? Because you have all done this before. So if you finished school, the chances are that you had people helping you professionally. You had peers who were with you on the journey. You had, what was the other thing? You had a crystal clear goal. You were getting to, you were going to finish matric in South Africa. You wanted to get out of school. And everyone knew what you were up to. Your friends and family knew you were at school. But the thing is, if school was something that there was a stigma about, like, oh, I'm going to go to school, you wouldn't tell anyone about that. And the problem with not telling people is that we don't tell people because we're worried that we will be judged or ashamed if we fail. But the paradox is that the more people you tell and the more people you engage in your transformation or in your journey, the more likely you are to succeed. Because what happens is, as you tell people, firstly, all the haters expose themselves by giving you negativity, and they basically just tell you who you should be deleting off your phone and spending less time with. But as you start telling people and acting in accordance with what your goal is, your environment starts to change and allow for you to succeed. So the people who love you and who you should be spending time with are going to act in a way that enables this goal to happen. Sometimes people will give you cake without even thinking about it. But if you've told everyone, hey man, like, don't do the cake, then the chances are most of the time they will remember, or they will try and do something different. Every now and then they'll slip up and forget, and it will be innocent, so you mustn't take it personally. But in general, telling people trains your environment to cater for you to succeed. Okay, and the same thing. So you've done this before at least 4 times. If you're a parent with a degree and a job, you've done this 4 times. You've gone to school, long-term goal, clear goal, very difficult, had people helping you along the way, finished the same thing at university, the same thing at work. You could not arrive at work and gun for a promotion or a salary if you didn't have a mentor, you didn't have colleagues helping you, you didn't have a clear goal, like, which was to get paid, and you didn't tell your friends. Like, when did you get a job and not tell anyone in your life you were doing it? And the same thing with having parents, having children. So these are things we do all the time when we want to achieve something difficult. But these are things that we don't do when we want to try and achieve one of the most difficult things on earth, which is actually changing our habits and changing our behavior to, like, reduce the size of our bodies. That is like a really difficult thing to do. And so I think we hugely underestimate the magnitude of the task at hand when we're trying to lose weight. I think a lot of us think it should be easy because some people are just thin. Like, why is it so difficult? It shouldn't be so difficult. And we're ashamed and we don't tell anyone. And so the point is to understand it's fucking difficult. And we have to change our entire life to make that work. Okay. So that's what it takes. You know what the benefits are, and you know what it takes. You have to have peers. You have to have people helping you. You have to tell the people in your life what it's about. You have to know exactly what you want. You need to be clear. I want to achieve this goal by this time. And then you need to make it about something bigger than you. The long-term vision of your life. What do you value in life? And how does this goal connect with your value? You might initially pick a goal that's ridiculous. Like, I want to be 8% body fat, which is like a cover of the Men's Health magazine. That's not realistic. You know how much exercise I'll have to do to get there? Then I won't be able to spend time with my family and my children, which are much more in alignment with my values. So what is the goal that I can set that is in alignment with my values? Okay, so you know what it takes. And now what we've done at Real Meal Revolution is we have created a product, or all of our products and services run for either 6 or 12 weeks. And they are designed to literally manufacture the environment required to achieve. So everything I just showed you is stuff I've been preaching for about 8 years now. And only about 2 years ago, we decided, hang on, why do we develop a product that is actually in alignment with this entire speech that we're giving you? So having a clear goal, collaborating, learning all the theory, and then having lots of time to practice over a 12-week period. And so we call this the HERO program. So in the HERO program, what we do is we set a crystal clear goal for a quarter. So in other words, for 12 weeks, you have one super clear goal. That's the deadline, and it's in 3 months' time. And then what we do is we focus less on theory. So you know the theory, just eat right. Like, don't eat crap, the red list easy, sugar, gluten, high carb foods. We all know what that is. Like, don't eat the bread, go for the not bread. Okay, focus less on theory and focus more on practice. So what we do is we actually commit to taking action, and we hold each other accountable to the actions that we commit to making. Instead of saying, oh, I'm going to read this book and then I'll be more intelligent, we say I'm going to do this stuff and then I'll be more thin. And then we have fortnightly check-ins. So that 12-week goal gets broken into fortnightly sections. And so you only have a goal for the next 2 weeks. And you leave that meeting and you go and you check in and you check in and you check in and you do the stuff. And then 2 weeks later, you take stock. And then you do it again and you check in and you check in and you check in and then you take stock. So you're actually taking this whole big goal that is in alignment with your future vision for your life and breaking it down into tiny chunks. So that's how the HERO program works. And then it's daily support and accountability. So you have a coach in there with you. You've got 4 peers with you. I'll explain it in another slide. But first, I want you to meet Tessa. So Tessa joined in, I want to say, 2019, and she transformed her life. In fact, Tessa's actually lost quite a lot of weight since her after photo, which is a bit of a problem. And she's 30 kilos down. And what happened is she joined Real Meal, and she was in a dark place. And she just decided she had had enough. She didn't want to be the person she was. And she was, I think, I don't want to misquote her, but she was pretty upset about how things had ended up with her and her weight and her attitude. And so she joined Real Meal. And in the beginning, she stayed at a distance and she started losing weight. And then she started getting super engaged in our programs and talking to people about what she was doing. And over the time, she lost 30 kilos, but she transformed her life. She decided to become a coach. And now she's actually running programs for Real Meal Revolution 2 years later, having trained as a coach and transformed her life. You've probably seen pictures of her rolling around in a bikini in one of our presentations somewhere. So this is Tessa. She's a fantastic example of what you can achieve on the HERO program. And so this is the HERO program offer that I was going to tell you about. So you join a group of 5 like-minded individuals. So remember I said you need peer support just like you did at school or university or on my swim. So you join a group of 5 like-minded individuals. It's enough people to learn from all the different stories, but it's small enough to be contained where there isn't just noise. If it was 10 people, you'd never be able to keep track of everyone or really connect with other people. So you're assigned a rockstar hero leader. So all of our hero leaders are trained by Real Meal Revolution, but they've also achieved great success on the Banting diet. So most of them have lost 20 kilograms. There were a couple who didn't have as many as 20 to lose, but only after they had their weight loss transformation were they trained to deliver the program. All of them have been on the program, run the program. So they walk the walk and they talk the talk. And so what you do is you have these 6 fortnightly workshops where the coach facilitates a really cool sharing format, which you'll learn about when you join. But then you set clear goals and you decide on how you will hold each other accountable. And then you check in every day. And that's it. Just check in. So for instance, I say I'm going to be fasting, 16-8 for 10 days or for between now and the next workshop. And then every day I'll send a screenshot of the fast that I did. And then the coach will go, yeah, well done, high five. And then my peers will share their stuff and we'll high five each other. And it's a nice little dopamine hit for doing what you said you would do when you said you would do it. And then you're definitely going to get results. So in fact, we guarantee the results. And we had a client, our very first client ever was finished the program and she wasn't able to lose the weight that she was gunning for. And so she is now signed up for coaching on us because we guaranteed her that she would get results. So you get results. By the way, that's 1 out of 130 150 or 160 people who've gone through this program. Every single other person has got what they paid for and left like ridiculously happy. So results are guaranteed, and it's a super powerful program. Okay, and that's a 4,500 Rand program for 3 months. And just in its simplest form, this is just what the WhatsApp group looks like, sharing pictures of food and stuff. And this is a picture of the Zoom workshop that I told you about where you set the goals. But in the package, there's so much more. So in the package, what you get is the RMR online course, which is our foundation course. It's got all of the transformation theory that we preach. It's got expert lectures on keto, on drinking alcohol, on transformation, on like self-sabotage. And then it's got weekly guidance. So there's a meal plan every week. There's an email reminding you of your to-do list, etc. And yeah, so it basically guides you through a 12-week weight loss transformation. And then we have the habit building program, which is what's actually called the expert workshop series now. So these are the 4 experts, the 3 experts at Real Meal. There's me, and that's Bridget Surtee. She's a registered dietitian. And this is Victoria. She's a clinical psychologist. So she's our partner on the Eating Psychology Online Transformation Program. And so we run a series of workshops. So it's actually 3 additional online courses that are delivered live in the Zoom room. And first, there is weight loss and nutrition, which is what Bridget runs. So she will teach you the science of weight loss. And then there's performance mindset, which is what I run. So just a little bit of the stuff I just did about, setting goals with accountability. That's like one of the performance mindset bits that I do in my workshops. And then eating psychology with Victoria, she delves deep into the psychology of eating and talks about like why we eat, what drives us to eat, what triggers us to eat in her lecture worship series. So these 3 series are all actually amazing online courses on their own. I have no idea why we sell them for 1,500 Rand all in. And then over and above that, if you are not on the Hero program, on this program, you get weekly check-ins with coaches, not one-on-one, but like in a group format. So that's included in the deal. Oh, and then anytime tech support. Then we also have the RMR web app included in the deal. So that's our resource of recipes, meal plans, shopping list, tracking tools, basically the dashboard where you would manage your transformation. And so this is Margie Hackett. In fact, she's hugely successful. Her 2 daughters are, excuse my child screaming. She's got 2 of her daughters are hero leaders. And what she says, this is a total holistic approach. I can decide how much and when to eat or not eat, unlike needing to have X meals a day. I am no longer food obsessed, and I now enjoy socializing, focusing on the experience rather than the food table. So this is a total shift in the way that she views her relationship with food. And she's lost a ton of weight. So here's the Hero program. That's the package that I just offered you. So the 3-month Hero group support program, the online banting course, which is 1,500 Rand, the expert workshop series, which is 1,500 Rand, and then the 3 months free on the web app. And then with this deal, when you join the Hero program, you also get an automatic 2,000 Rand discount on the Psychology of Eating program. So the Psychology of Eating program is like a whole nother animal. I'm going to have a webinar about this next week. It is absolutely insane, and it's a 12,000 Rand program, which is totally undervalued. And you get a 2,000 Rand discount on that if you sign up for Hero. So it's epic. Now, this deal that I'm offering is actually a 10,000 Rand deal. This is the value that you get. And as I said earlier, the expert workshops alone should be worth more. So this is already like a crazy, crazy discount. But with the Hero program, all you do is pay 4,500 Rand and you get all of that. And the Hero program launches on Friday the 4th. And so the welcome session is this Friday. And then the following week, you will have your first session. So next week, you'll have your first session with your coach. And then for the next 12 weeks, you will be losing the weight, doing the work, communicating with your crew, and then you have an option to renew at the end. So I'm just going to go through a few fixed questions here. Wendy has dropped the landing page link in the comments. So if you just follow that link, you'll find a page that's got lots of testimonial videos from some of the clients I actually showed you in this presentation. and you can see the finer details. But basically, to answer this question, it starts on Friday. That's the welcome session, and then you get cracking the following week. After you pay, you will get access to our learning system. So the online course is obviously a course, but there are other programs that are not courses. So for instance, the Hero program is not really a course. You're not going to like learn new stuff. You're just going to hold each other accountable, and you're going to meet and you're going to check in and do the stuff. But all of that will be available to you in the learning system, which is behind the paywall. What happens when it finishes? So when it finishes, you're going to graduate. So you have your final graduation session where you get all your stats together and decide whether or not you achieved your goal. And then you're welcome to clip into a new one. We have a 60% retention, which means 60% of the people who do the Hero program, they stay on the Hero program for like another round. And so I think like most of the people who cancel have probably done 2 rounds. On average, people do 2 rounds of Heroes, which is good to know. How long does the program last? So as I said earlier, it's a 3-month program, but we have got people who've done like 4, I think someone's done 5 Heroes. Yes, there is a client who's done 5 Heroes. How much weight can I lose? Okay, so you can lose, the max anyone's lost in 3 months that we know of is 60 kilograms, but that was someone who started off on 270 something kilograms. So they had a lot to lose and obviously lost quite fast. But I'd say, I mean, our record for someone who was, I would say like moderately overweight, so within the 125 kilogram range, one of them lost 20 kilograms in the 3 months, which is amazing. Someone else lost 27 kilograms in the 3 months. But that is a hell of a lot. I would say the least weight that you will lose on the program, if you have got a decent amount to lose, is 6, but you can probably bank on about 12 if you are like religiously strict and you stick to your guns. But if you find the sweet spot and you're able to tailor how the diet works for you, you could definitely lose more than that. If you're on sort of medication that slows down weight loss, or there's some kind of other thing at play like thyroid issue, then sometimes you'll lose a bit slower. So everyone's different, and that's why there isn't like a hard way to calculate it. But in general, it's within range of like 6 to 20 kilograms, and that depends on level of strictness, biology, etc. When will I see results? So if you go keto, usually you get results in the first week, and often the results you get in the first week are better than the results you'll get the rest of the time, because you actually drop quite a lot of water weight in the first couple days when you go into ketosis. So you can lose anything from 500 grams to 2 kilograms. Some guys lose a lot more than that in the first week. And then after that, usually you lose between 500 grams and a kilo a week. That's a solid loss. Some people lose a lot more than that, but we like to manage expectations and have people be surprised rather than the other way around. Okay, as I said, if you don't see results, you're meeting every 2 weeks. So you get to tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak. And so while you're tweaking, just tweak away. And so if you don't get results at the end, obviously we guarantee that. But if you do get results, you will just keep pushing the envelope and keeping those results. So it's very unlikely that you won't see results. Can I choose my own coach? Yes. So the thing is, not all the coaches take an intake every single time, but I know that most of the coaches are having they've had a break over Christmas. So all of our coaches are actually taking groups this month, and so we have a limitation on slots because we actually don't have a hell of a lot of coaches running this program. But yes, you can. And your coach is also booked a certain time slot. So if you don't take that time slot, you won't be able to get that coach because the coach's time is obviously limited. A lot of our coaches have jobs and careers, and so they want to coach in a specific time slot that you can take. So there, we just had a comment from Irina. She's lost 14 kilograms with RMR already. Do I need supplements or other stuff? So the supplements, no. Supplements, you don't need to do. Sometimes, people take vitamin D and magnesium and salt and a few other things when they go keto. We would say just have some salt in the first couple of days because you lose a lot of water, and with that, you lose sodium, so you need to add that back in. But apart from that, no, you don't need supplements unless you want to take supplements, but we don't sell them. It's not like an extra cost that you have to go and invest in. And yeah, so any other questions, just shoot. I just saw someone asking the price. It's 4,500 for this whole package, and then there is a link in the comments to, in fact, oh no, that's not very useful. Well, if you want to go to rmr.com and you just go have a look at the services tab, and under the services tab, you'll see the Hero program, and that's where you can go and sign up if you can't see the link in the comments. But it's 4,500 to do the program, and that's the 3-month program. So what we'll do now is I'm going to end the broadcast, and I'm going to keep an eye on the comments. It's first come, first serve. So if you sign up and you don't get in because we don't have enough space, we're going to have to just refund you straight away. And you'll have to wait till the next intake, which is the beginning of March. But Wendy and I and Vanessa, we're going to watch the comments, and we'll respond to any comments that you have or questions about this. And if you get really stuck, you can email support@realmealrevolution.com. So thank you so much for tuning in. It is super hot in my office here. The fan makes so much noise, so I turn it off. I'm like absolutely baking. So excuse me if I'm look like I've run through a rainstorm. Have a wonderful afternoon, and I hope to see you in the welcome session on Friday. I'll see you then.